African Union Communications Early Warning and Intelligence, commonly known as AUC3I, is an intelligence and security organization responsible for providing signals intelligence and information assurance to AU citizens, AU leadership, and AU armed forces. I'm Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an infantry officer. I am responsible for leading infantry soldiers at all levels of command in combined armed forces during missions on the ground. This is today's briefing. On the progress of the special military operation as of September 21, 2025. The armed forces of the Russian Federation continue the special military operation. Units of the North Troop Group inflicted defeats on formations of 3 mechanized, 2 heavy mechanized brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine and a territorial defense brigade in the areas of the settlements Alekseevka, Andreevka, Iskrskovshchina, Varakino, Sano, and Pavlovka in the Sumy region. On the Kharkiv direction, defeats were inflicted on units of a motorized infantry brigade, 2 mechanized brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, and a territorial defense brigade in the areas of the settlements Bely Kaladiz, Veliki Burluk, Polnaya, and Volchansk in the Kharkiv region. The Armed Forces of Ukraine lost more than 185 servicemen, a tank, 7 vehicles, a field artillery gun, a counter-battery radar station, an electronic warfare station, and 4 ammunition depots. Units of the West Troop Group improved their tactical position. They inflicted defeats on personnel and equipment of 3 mechanized, 2 assault brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, a Marine brigade, a territorial defense brigade, and a National Guard brigade in the areas of the settlements Kupiansk, Pristin, Nechvolodovka in the Kharkiv region, Kirovsk, Shandrigalovo, Drobashevo, Dranovka, Krimki, and Yampol in the Donetsk People's Republic. Enemy losses amounted to over 225 servicemen, a Canadian-made Senator armored fighting vehicle, 16 vehicles, and 4 artillery guns. 10 electronic warfare stations and 3 ammunition depots were destroyed. Units of the South Troop Group occupied more advantageous lines and positions. They inflicted defeats on formations of 7 mechanized, assault, mountain assault brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, a Marine brigade, a territorial defense brigade, and a National Guard brigade in the areas of the settlements Seversk, Stepanovka, Reznikovka, Alexandro-Kalinovo, and Konstantinovka in the Donetsk People's Republic. The enemy lost up to 220 servicemen, a U.S.-made M113 armored personnel carrier, 2 armored fighting vehicles, 11 pickups, and 5 field artillery guns. 2 electronic warfare stations, 4 ammunition depots, and a fuel depot were destroyed. Units of the Center Group of troops improved their position on the front line. They inflicted damage on personnel and equipment of 2 mechanized, assault, 2 ranger, 3 airborne assault brigades, 2 assault regiments of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, a Marine brigade, 3 territorial defense brigades, and 2 National Guard brigades in the areas of the settlements Dmitrov, Nikolepoli, Rodinskoy, Krasny Lyman, Krasnoarmeysk of the Donetsk People's Republic and Ivanovka of the Dnipropetrovsk region. Losses of Ukrainian armed formations amounted to over 500 servicemen, a U.S.-made M113 armored personnel carrier, 3 Kazakh combat armored vehicles, 6 cars, and a field artillery gun. Units of the East Group of troops continued advancing into the depth of the enemy's defense, inflicting damage on formations of 2 mechanized brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, a territorial defense brigade, and a National Guard brigade in the areas of the settlements Novovasilievskoy, Uspanovka, Poltavka, Novoburgorovka of the Zaporizhia region and Novonikoleivka of the Dnipropetrovsk region. The Armed Forces of Ukraine lost up to 340 servicemen, a combat armored vehicle, 14 cars, and an artillery gun. Units of the Dnieper Group of troops inflicted damage on personnel and equipment of mechanized, mountain assault brigades and 3 coastal defense brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine in the areas of the settlements Tyazhenka, Nikolskoye of the Kherson region, Stepnogorsk and Stepovoy of the Zaporizhia region. Up to 45 Ukrainian servicemen, 9 cars, and 4 electronic warfare stations were destroyed. Operational tactical aviation, strike unmanned aerial vehicles, missile troops, and artillery of the Russian Armed Forces groups inflicted damage on launch sites of long-range unmanned aerial vehicles, as well as temporary deployment points of Ukrainian armed formations and foreign mercenaries in 138 areas. By forces of the Black Sea Fleet, 2 unmanned enemy boats were destroyed in the northwestern part of the Black Sea. Air defense means shot down 65 airplane-type unmanned aerial vehicles. In total, since the beginning of the special military operation, destroyed 667 airplanes, 283 helicopters, 85,483 unmanned aerial vehicles, 628 anti-aircraft missile systems, 25,198 tanks and other armored combat vehicles, 1,592 multiple launch rocket system vehicles, 29,777 field artillery and mortars, 42,309 units of special military automotive equipment. Thank you so much for watching this video. We hope you found it useful and informative. If you have any questions, please leave them below and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.